Hello, thank you for joining us today and for being willing to share your story with other patients and the general public alike. Um, so we're here to support World Lipodystrophy Day, and part of that is to hear some patient voices, share stories about your diagnostic journey. And so today we're here with Cassie. So Cassie, do you want to just introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Cassi and I have familial partial lipodystrophy type 3.
Fantastic. Thank you, Cassie. So you've answered my first question, which is what type of lipodystrophy you have. So thank you for that. Um, what about lipodystrophy has had the biggest impact on your life?
The biggest impact for me is constant appointments. It's really hard to hold down a job, a social life, a marriage, a household, because it always takes number one priority in my life because there are so many appointments. Sometimes I have two a day on the same day. I've had a lot of appointments in the last 18 months. I actually counted them and it was 130. So yeah, I'm a bit tired out from all that and explaining again and again to professionals. And it's quite tiring because it's always a fight. They don't really understand the condition. Um, so yeah, it's that, and it's also balancing work with that and fatigue and constant hunger. Because for me, constant hunger and fatigue is just a constant thing every day. Um, and recently, it's just been unbearable with fatigue and hunger, where I've been suicidal. Um, and it's really hard to explain to professionals. They said, "Oh yeah, I know you're hungry, but do try to not eat." And it's difficult, very difficult. Um, and also, it's pain as well. Pain is playing a big part in my life. And nobody wants to take responsibility or listen or try and understand why. They just say, "Oh, it could be part of your condition," and then they kind of just listen to you for a bit, and then they don't even put it on the letter that you get receive after you've been to an appointment. So being heard is something that I find difficult. Um, and body image, because of my high sugars, I've keep getting constant skin infections, which is just I've got one now. Like, it happens all the time. um, and I've been asking and asking for a few years for help with that because I've got a lot of scarring on my body now. And in the last 2 years, I've lost a lot of fat from my body. Um, and I didn't think it would affect me as much as it did, but it's affected me emotionally a lot more than I realised. So I do think the mental health side of the condition really needs to have more attention on it. Because if you're happy, you're more likely to look after yourself instead of, "Oh, she's miserable, let's tell her not to eat and let's give her more drugs to use." And it's just difficult.
Yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that you've had such a difficult time, Cassie. But unfortunately, as you know, it's not something that's unusual for the lipodystrophy community or the rare disease community at large. And something that is definitely lacking is psychological support, which was something as a charity we're trying to advocate for and make sure there is a provision for. But of course, the NHS is chronically underfunded, and mental health services, amongst others, have taken a massive hit. And in terms of, you said that you had been suicidal in the past, which is horrendous to go through. And I hope you know that there are some support networks available, such as Mind, for example, that can support you in those struggles. And we would encourage anybody who's struggling with those thoughts to speak to someone, because that's the hardest step. I hope you're feeling a bit better, but I know that it's something that's a journey, and it's not something that is just goes away overnight. And it's something that sometimes you're in a good place and other times you're in not so good a place. So, I really
Yeah.
hope that you continue to get support for that.
Thank you.
Um,
I
it,
am feeling a lot better.
yeah,
Um, but when you go so low, it's kind of, you don't see the point in living, because if this is my life in pain and constantly explaining myself and feeling like I'm not worthy of the physician's attention, then I'm going to keep feeling low, because they're not giving me the attention I deserve.
yeah, it's really hard when you feel like that, in a pit basically, and you're trying to crawl your way out. And I think that's why things like this, patient voices, patient videos, and initiatives to raise awareness are so important, because by raising awareness both within the medical community and the general public, really do help patients like yourself, like myself, to be understood, better understood, to be taken seriously when we have concerns about our health, and to be offered the right kind of support. And hopefully, things will continue to change for the better. Unfortunately, it's a process and it's going to take time. But it's there are better things on the horizon, and I guess it's hard to see that when you're in a pit of depression and despair.
Yeah.
But it's trying to find those opportunities to lift yourself out, and part of that is the community that is brought with having a rare disease and being able to get in contact with other patients that are actually going through the same thing. I've personally found very, very supportive. Is that something that you've found from being part of the lipodystrophy community?
Definitely. When I first joined, I was really nervous. I didn't know what to expect. And for me, it kind of saved me a little bit, because I was already going down a dark hole. And just knowing that there's other people out there with the same struggles, not just similar struggles, exactly the same, it was amazing. And for me, I have so many questions. Is this lipodystrophy related? Is it not? And I love that we all just put it out there, and we all write down, yes, this is me. And you feel like, yes, we're getting somewhere. Like, we've got this, we can keep going, and it's going to be okay.
Yeah,
We all understand, and it's like a breath of fresh air for me. I love
fantastic.
it.
I'm so glad you feel that way, because that's one of the reasons, why we're here is because we know as trustees, we've got one. We've got 5 trustees, and of the 5, 4 of us have lipodystrophy ourselves.
Yeah.
And so we get it. We understand what patients are going through. And it's actually having that space where there's no judgment, where you can really be who you are. You can say what it is that's worrying you, and you can be supported, feel supported, and also have advice. Somebody's been there, done that. Maybe they found something that works, and they can help, which is
Exactly.
fantastic. So I'm so pleased that you feel support from the group.
No, thank you for all your hard work. You work really hard for the charity, and without you, I being the driving force, so I'm not sure how successful it would be without you.
Thank you. That means a lot, Cassie.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Um, okay, so maybe you could tell us a little bit about your diagnosis and your diagnostic journey. How long did it take? Did you have any false starts? Did you get misdiagnosed along the way?
I basically started my journey at 18 years old, um, and it just was a series of another thing wrong, another thing wrong. I had they thought I had cirrhosis of the liver when I was 18. Luckily, I didn't, but obviously, I have NASH, which I've had since I was at 18. I'm now 34. Um, and I was for 13 years on this merry-go-round of specialists, and they all kept saying to me was lose weight, lose weight. I'd come out of my appointments in tears. I would get angry and tell them, I like the way I am. I don't want to lose weight. I don't feel like my weight's my problem. So for me, it links in with what I said before, really, where I don't feel heard because I have 13 years of not being heard. So now that I know my diagnosis and I've read information on the internet, I've asked the support page for help, and I've fed it back to professionals, and then they don't listen to me. It's even more frustrating. Not all of them, I have to say, because after 13 long years, I met a doctor who just thought out of the box for a second. And it was because I stood up really angry in my appointment, and I lifted up my top and everything, and said, I'm so muscular everywhere. Where do you want me to lose the weight? And it was because of that. He thought, oh, I went to a seminar once about something. And he said, let me just do some investigation. And it was started because me and my husband wanted to get pregnant, because we got married in 2018. And basically, since 2018 in September, we have been on that journey to try and get pregnant. They said, lose weight, lose weight. I've lost weight, but it's not weight that I've tried to lose. I haven't changed anything. It's just where I've lost my fat. 16 centimeters off my hips in the last year. Nothing fits me, everything hangs off me. But at least I know my diagnosis, and we're hoping to do PDG, IVF, genetic IVF. And that's how we got started. And I went for a blood test and they told me I had it. Everybody seemed really excited. There was lots of professionals involved, and then nothing really. It just fizzles out and you just see them. But I'm started new medications, so hopefully it'll be more in control of my sugars and my triglycerides. But yeah, it's a very long, tiring journey. A lot to remember as well.
Yeah.
My husband's been an amazing support. I've had him for 7 years, so he's only experienced a short portion of it, and he gets very frustrated, and he's got a lot of patience. I don't have a lot of patience anymore, so he goes to my appointments to be the buffer, to try and calm me down sometimes when I get a little bit frustrated, because I have borderline personality disorder as well, so that mixed with lipodystrophy, it's just hand in hand. So I can get overly emotional about things, but it comes from a place of caring and love, and a fight for myself, but a fight for others. Because if one person when I was 18 just looked and said, why is this 18-year-old might have cirrhosis of the liver? That's a bit odd. And at the time I lived in London, and it was, London's supposed to be the cutting edge. All the doctors were learning. I had like loads of students in on my appointments all the time, but nobody knew about it. So I have to get over the fact that it was missed for so long, and just swallow the pill, literally.
Yes, it's a bit of a bitter pill to swallow, isn't it? When you look back and you think, if only, it had been recognised way back when I first went to see someone about it, how would things be different now? So how old were you, or how long did it take for you actually to get the correct diagnosis?
It was about 13 and a half years.
Wow.
So I was 18 when it all started, and I was 32.
Yeah, so very recent then.
Yeah, well, I think because they thought I had it anyway, and then they tested me, and it took about 4 or 5 months for that to come back. So really, I've only been diagnosed for maybe a year and a half, like officially. So yeah, that's my long journey.
Gosh, I think a couple of really important points there is fantastic that you've got such support from your husband. And I know that a lot of people in the community have also are lucky to have very supportive family members. Unfortunately, not everybody has that, but when we do have it, it's so important to recognize.
Oh, it's so precious.
Yeah, well, fantastic. He sounds like a great guy.
He really is. I'm lucky to have him.
Oh, okay. So obviously, this is a really difficult journey that you've been on, and it's a difficult condition to deal with. What kind of coping strategies do you use on a day-to-day basis to keep you going?
So I use a lot of mindfulness, and a lot of people are a bit skeptical of it, whether it works or not. But I think if you keep trying at it, it does work. It doesn't mean you don't have bad days, because we're always going to have bad days. And if we're in pain, it's going to bring our mood down. But you've got to keep trying. I like to do meditation. I have sleep apnea, so when I wear my mask at night, it's sometimes difficult to get to sleep. I have that mixed with insomnia as well. So I use meditation to zone out and drift off to sleep too, because it's hard to get comfortable in the mask because it's so hard. And I like to sleep with my face squashed in the pillow, and I can't do that anymore. So it's a bit frustrating, but yeah. And I use like lavender sprays on the pillow, and I use happy scents and relaxed scents, all the scents, candles. I have like a nice space light that shines on the ceiling. I use CBD products for my muscles, for external use and internal use. So I have some really good drops that I've been using, which has really helped my mood more than I thought. I thought it would help my muscular problems and bone problems more. But I found it's lifted my mood more than anything. So I really recommend that. I use like journals, poetry, I'm creative. I just try anything, to be honest, anything to keep going and to keep my mind busy and to forgive myself, because some days I can't do much. And when I do have the good days, I just go for it. And then I'm knackered the next day, obviously.
Yeah, unfortunately, that seems to be a recurrent theme within the community. And I know that certainly people do feel a sense of guilt, for not being able to be more present in more situations and for that lack of energy. And one of the most important things is accepting that those are limitations that we have to work around, and that it's okay to take the time out that you need for rest, or a bit of R&R to kind of center yourself a bit and feel energized going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you found some things that have really helped, and there's some really good ideas there that other
Yeah.
people can use as well.
Yeah, brilliant.
So finally, I wanted to ask you, what is it about yourself or lipodystrophy that you would like other people to know and understand better?
Um, Personally, take the good days and just go with it. And your friends are always there and your family are there when you're on the good days. But on your bad days, they need to be more compassionate, more understanding, give you more love and support. It's boring as hell. We don't want to be this way. And when we are feeling down or we can't do much, people need to be more understanding, because no one would want this. This is not something we want. It's something we have, and it's not a choice. We would choose to be fine and go out and have all the energy and constantly be with friends and family, but socializing is really tiring for us. Doing anything, just being alive, is quite tiring for us. And forgive yourself, like we were saying before. Be more understanding. Remember, you have a very rare genetic disorder, and it's okay. It's okay to have that. It's crap sometimes, but it's okay to have it. And You know, if you need time to relax away from everyone or be with people, because if that's what you enjoy, you know, people need to be more understanding for that, and try and help you. So I feel personally like it's quite hard to understand the condition from my friends, and they're like, go on, have another drink. And I'm like, I really can't be drinking. It's really not bad. You know, it's really bad for my body. And I keep telling them repeatedly, or they're like, oh, do you want some cake? And I'm like, I can't really eat cake. But they're like, oh, a little bit won't hurt. And, you know, on my bad days, I will just give in and drink or eat or what, you know. So it would be good if they could remember that we will be weak, and they need to remember that every bit of cake and every bit of alcohol or food that we shouldn't be eating has a real detrimental effect on our health, and you're literally taking away days of your life from eating the things that you shouldn't be, and that's really hard for me. Because I have a sweet tooth as well, and I just love food, and I'm hungry all the time. I'm gonna want to eat more cake. So it's quite difficult. It's more of a full-time job, an illness like this, to be honest, which I know everybody understands, luckily. And financially as well, people don't realize the burden. You have to buy, you know, really good food, you know, low fat meals, low sugar meals, no carbohydrates. So then you need to buy loads of veg and fruit, and everything's measuring and working it all out. So in general, everyone just needs to be nice and kind.
I think that's a lovely message to leave off on. And thank you so much, Cassie, because that's been really helpful. It's been lovely to talk to you. And I'm sure people can find some strength and, you know, wisdom in your words. So thank you so much.
I hope so. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.